The following story is fictional and does not depict any actual persons or event, except in this case it does, because they're my guest on Brio TV, the podcast. Thanks again for joining us on Brio TV, the podcast. My guest today is someone whose work I've admired for many years. She is as adept at drama as she is at comedy, having stolen scenes on such acclaimed series as Slings and Arrows, Mary Kills People, Schitt's Creek, and Pretty Hard Cases, to name just a few. You can find her now on billboards everywhere, as well as on the brand new police drama Law and Order Toronto, Criminal Intent, which airs Thursday nights on City TV. Please welcome Karen Robinson. Hi, good morning, Karen.
Good morning. I think it's still morning. Hang on.
We've got oh, no, you're right. Good afternoon.
Oh, right. But where are you?
I am on Highway 9 between Orangeville and, up Highway 50, if you know where that is. I'm about...
That makes any sense to me.
Okay, about an hour north of Toronto.
Okay. So yeah, it's afternoon. All right. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Did I already ask you that question? I hate it when people ask me that question over and over again, and I'm like, I keep saying the same thing, and then they don't know what else to say, and then they're like, "So how are you?"
You know what? I don't think we could ask each other how are you too often, right? It's okay.
Yeah, okay, I agree with you. However, I think that it has become a reflex, and sometimes we don't listen to the answer, and especially we don't listen to when people actually don't want to tell us how they are. Move on, right?
It's sort of like Happy New Year. I never know when to stop saying Happy New Year. It's usually 3 weeks in, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. And then Happy New Year is kind of like, okay, so what do we really mean by that? Because it's probably not going to be 365 happy. So what do we actually mean?
Right.
You mean you want blessings and smiles and peace and I don't know. I think too much. You can tell.
That's fine. Let's put it this way. Happy day after Valentine's Day, then.
Yeah. And I forgot that it was Valentine's. Well, I remembered yesterday because my boyfriend was like, will you be my goddamn Valentine? So I'll tell you how it started, right?
Okay.
Like he waits till the afternoon and he's like, will you be my Valentine? And I say, well, what's in it for me? And he said, well, I'll consider being your Valentine. By the way, you owe me money, which I do. I was like, I knew there was a catch.
Wow.
Give me my money and will you be my goddamn Valentine? And I went, that's why I love you.
Everything's a negotiation, Karen, right?
Exactly. It's all transactional. And then I went to the grocery store this morning, having totally forgot about Valentine's Day, and was so happy to see chocolates for cheap.
Hey, there you go. It's always that's always good. Nothing wrong with that.
Worked out.
Yeah. Well, listen, lots to be thankful for. Congratulations on Law and Order Toronto, Criminal Intent. That's got a pretty good ring to it, right?
It really does. Before I even knew that I was going to be a part of it, I was so excited about it. I just thought it was such a boss move. Of course. How did it take so long?
Well, I've loved you in a lot of things. You're great. Pretty Hard Cases and Schitt's Creek, of course. Lots and lots of stuff. So rewarded here to see you on this show.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I watched the first episode and enjoyed it very much.
You saw the first episode? I haven't seen the first episode.
Well, I think they just sent me yesterday one, and it still needed to have a bit of a, nudge here and there in terms of finished, but it was pretty good.
Okay.
Boy, Toronto looks amazing. It's pretty cool to see so many Toronto landmarks.
Toronto is its own character in the show. I love that. I love that Toronto is actually representing itself, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we there's so much work here where Toronto it kind of subs in for other places, but this is about us.
It's
This is
100% about us, and it's
about
nice to
us.
see. You play Inspector Vivienne Holness, and
Yeah.
it's not the first time you play a lady boss in the police station, right?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, you know what? If I start to count, who the hell's that? Oh, okay. Um, if I start to count, it's been a lot. It's been a
Yeah.
lot. I wonder what, you know. Okay, first of all, I am happy for the work. I am an actor who went to theater school just thinking I'm going to come out and do theater for the rest of my life. And I remember somebody in theater school, like they brought an established actor to come and talk to us. And I remember her saying, you will be basically itinerant, sitting on bean bags for your entire career. So that's kind of what I expected. So with all this, with all this TV coming at me, I'm like, okay, thank you. Maybe I can retire eventually.
Why beanbags? That's
Because I think she was saying that, you know, you either can't afford furniture or don't want furniture because you're going to be moving around so much.
wow.
And you
Okay.
can imagine that falling on 17-year-olds' ears. I mean, of course, we have this romantic vision of what the life is going to be. And also, our backs and knees don't hurt yet. So
Right.
we don't
Right.
really understand what that whole beanbag thing is about. But right now, I'm glad I have like real furniture, dining room chairs, a real couch, all
Well,
that.
and Karen, good for you for going for what you really wanted to do, right? That's the main thing. Because a lot of people, they settle and they go, well, I'm going to be a teacher, and then they graduate teachers college and they find out they're going to have to wait 8 years to get a permanent job. So you might as well, like, I don't know if acting is almost any more risky than a lot of other jobs anymore, right?
Anymore, I hear what you're saying because I've been doing this now for well, a quarter of a century or more, and no, yeah, well, more. Anyway, point is, I remember when I first started out, you know, jobs were still regular jobs
Yeah.
were still something that was they were prized because you know they came with security and benefits and a certain amount of respect, right? I am sure that I remember my mom, who you know, God rest her soul, she loved me so much. And I'm not saying this ironically, but she loved me so much that when I told her I wanted to go to theater school, she said, well, take typing. Just so you have something to fall back on, because she wanted to make sure that I could take care of myself.
Yeah.
But yes, I think with the erosion of the security around jobs, you know, especially middle class jobs that people thought you could depend on.
Yeah.
With the erosion of all of the security around that, I think that, yes, people now understand what I mean when I say, I don't know what's coming up next.
Right. Yeah. No, it's common for a lot of us. A lot of us who came up in the newspaper business. Holy smokes, you know. Karen, did you grow up in Toronto?
No, I didn't. I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica.
Oh
Did
my
you know that
goodness.
about me?
Pardon me?
Did you know that about me?
I'm sure that I did, but I also assumed, I guess, that you've lived quite a few years in Toronto, right?
Oh, yeah. Toronto is definitely the place that I've lived the longest in during my life. But the reason I asked you if you knew that about me is because, you know, I've been having conversations with people just this past week. And I realized that as much as I think I talk about it, a lot of people don't know how Jamaican I actually am. Maybe it's because they've never really seen me play one. But I was there from age 2 to age 16. And my family is Jamaican, and I still have family in Jamaica, and I make pilgrimages home to Jamaica. It formed me.
Yeah.
It formed who I am today.
Well, did it form your acting ambitions? Did you go to acting? Did you study acting when you lived there, or?
No, but I always found my way to performing when I lived there. So, so first of all, there was this magical show on TV on Saturday afternoons called Ring Ding, and it was hosted by the Right Honorable Louise Bennett Coverly, and she was like the mother of Jamaican culture. It's like she took my songs and my poems and my stories and my history, well, all of ours, I call it mine because I feel like I own it, but it was all of ours, and polished it into a crown and set it on a generation, many generations of Jamaican children's heads. And I think that seeing her do that, singing her perform and sing and celebrate Jamaican culture is what planted the seed for me that, that this was something that, well, actually what it did was it nurtured the seed, because I kind of feel like I was born with this. My mother was a born performer. She was a registered nurse, but she could tell a story. And so I think it was there already. I think Louise Bennett, people like Louise Bennett and Faye Ellington and Leonie Forbes were the people who showed me that I could develop it into something.
Wow. Well, I know I've talked to a lot of Canadian people who grew up in Toronto or other parts of Canada. And, Mr. Dress Up was actually quite an inspiration because he had the tickle trunk full of costumes and he would put on different outfits and be somebody else all the time. And
sparks your imagination.
Yeah, right? It's always really important. So where did you study? Where did you go to theater school then?
At 16, I moved to Drumheller, Alberta. Wow. And I did my last year of high school there. And then I went to Mount Royal College in Calgary, now Mount Royal University, and University of Calgary. And that's where I studied.
Wow. Drumheller, that's like a name. There's about 65 NHL players from there, I think. I think that's a hockey town, right?
I would not doubt it because they are serious about their hockey. They are serious.
Yeah, that's wild. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Karen Robinson. The second season of the compelling crime thriller Hidden Assets returns to Super Channel for its exclusive Canadian premiere on Sunday, February 11th at 9 p.m., with each episode also available on Super Channel On Demand. This Irish-Belgian-Canadian co-production is a must-watch for aficionados of crime thrillers. In Season 2 of this Super Channel original, Criminal Asset Bureau's new team lead Claire Wallace finds herself at odds with CTU's Christian de Jong over the Antwerp investigation. And speaking of hidden assets, Quebecer and Brio TV favorite Karine Vanesse is among the Canadians on Season 2 of this drama. And remember, Super Channel, an all-Canadian service, is available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming live and on demand with Amazon Prime Video channels, Apple TV Plus, and the Roku platform in Canada. Back with Karen. So you studied theater and you saw yourself on stage. What kinds of jobs did you start getting in theater jobs?
I was lucky enough that when I was in my graduating year at University of Calgary, a man named Robin Phillips, who
Stratford,
the artistic director at Stratford, and was then the artistic director at the Citadel Theater in Edmonton, and he came to U of C and, basically auditioned the graduating class. And I was one of two baby actors that he chose to come and apprentice at the Citadel Theater. So for a year, for an entire season, I was in the company. He had basically brought his young company from the Stratford Festival to Edmonton. So I was in the presence of Diego Matamoros and Joe Ziegler and Nancy Pock and Susan Coyne and Martha Burns. All these actors, Phil Aiken, who now lives down the street from me, all these actors who were at the top of their games, and I got to soak that in.
So when you were on Slings and Arrows, you were with folks you knew well, and you just slid right into that company.
Yeah, absolutely. And didn't you love that show?
Oh.
My God.
Perhaps the greatest Canadian TV show ever in terms of scripted drama. Yeah.
Right? There was not a blink.
Yeah, that's The Wire or, Sopranos kind of thing. It's right up there.
Getting a hot flash just thinking about it. But that's how I got started.
Pretty good start.
Listen, as well, there are so many hills and valleys. And let's talk about the valleys in this industry. And Lord knows I've experienced them. But when I think about the hills, when I think about the blessings that just seem to come along, happenstance, I'm sort of gobsmacked because I feel like Robin Phillips was probably the best teacher I've ever had. No disrespect to any of the other wonderful teachers that I had throughout my young acting career. But man, did he ever lay it out in terms that were digestible, but also keep these terms that he gave me, these ways of thinking about the craft that he offered, still resonate with me today.
That's fantastic. And it must be too, where you have this dexterity to be very funny and very serious. You're just as you shine on Schitt's Creek, you get you're right in there with, Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy. My God, right? So
that's another one that happened, right?
No kidding.
I walked into an audition. I rode my rickety bike a few blocks from my house and I walked into an audition, and a couple of callbacks later, that was my life for 6 years.
Amazing. I don't think any show in the history of television has won so many Emmys in one swoop. And,
one time.
Yeah. Were you at the party at Casa Loma?
I was indeed. And, we had gone to the Emmys the year before because we got nominated for Best Comedy. We didn't win because Fleabag won everything.
Right.
But we went down to LA, we did the whole carpet thing and the pictures and that was great. But then COVID hit, and there we were all tested and masked in this little party at Casa Loma. And quite frankly, I forgot that the rest of the world was watching. So as we started winning, I started basically losing my mind in the background. I was jumping around. It was like I was at church. And then when I started to see the footage show up on social media the following day, I realized just because we were, it's like we were this little show that could, we were this little party that could when the Emmys came along. But people were actually watching and.
Well, you were at church. That was high mass. If you're, what did you learn from Catherine O'Hara? I mean, that must have been fun doing scenes opposite her, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing that she would say is, "When in doubt, play crazy," but which is, which is instructive. But I think the thing that I really learned from her is how to put the work in beforehand and then show up with your full self and pay attention, breathe, do the work. She was, and also how to, because she's one of our queens. But she's also kind, and she's also incredibly collaborative, and she's classy as hell. So, you that's how you want your royalty to be.
Yeah.
You want them to work hard. You want them to show up when they say they will. And you want them to just be nice and then go home.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually went to the same grade school in Etobicoke as the O'Haras. She was, I'm a couple of years younger, but her brother, Michael, and different people. But the O'Haras had that sort of spark or sense of humor even then, right? It's quite a family.
She often talked about the fact that her whole family was funny.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And they just kept outdoing each other with funniness.
Yeah. Now, and then Pretty Hard Cases, you shone in that role because you had this opportunity to kind of play it funny and serious, right?
Yeah. And fabulous clothes.
Yes.
Oh, Nicole Manning. I will wear anything she throws at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an incredible. That also was quite a gift, and yeah, we rode that line, that fine line so well that when award season came around, I think the powers that be did not know quite where to slot us in.
Right. Yeah. Nice problem to have.
Yeah.
In a way. But you had already worked with Tassie Cameron, right, on Mary Kills People, and
I had, yeah. And that was a really serious role, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, Bill, you're reminding me of so much that Mary Kills People happened. Everything that came out of that, because that role. I was lucky enough to win a Canadian Screen Award for that role, and then they write this other thing, and they remembered me.
Yeah.
They remembered me, and I got to audition for it. That wasn't actually the role that I initially auditioned for. The role I auditioned for was the one that Adrian played.
Oh, really? My goodness. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
And they were like, yeah, we don't think you're her. And were they ever right about that? I could not do what the wonderful Adrian and Meredith accomplished in that. First of all, I don't want to run around that much. So,
well, listen, I'm sorry to interrupt, Karen. I just in watching Law and Order Toronto, Criminal Intent, and the pilot I've seen, I guess the first episode, a lot of running around there. You're lucky. You're in the office, but I think it was Holly Dale as the director.
Yes,
folks must have had to train to do the walk and talks in that episode. Pretty speedy.
Yeah. Those took several takes, but when we got, and I am working with, oh my God, the best in the business in Aden Young and Kathleen Munroe, right?
Yeah.
So my job was basically to show the hell up and not fuck the hell up, basically.
Oh, no. Right? Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to tell you, I'm not really that familiar with Aden, and his is a very intriguing voice. Just the voice and his character. I was quite fascinated by him. Had you worked with him before?
No, I hadn't. Okay, so here's what happened, Bill. Here's what happened. What had happened was earlier in the spring, when Law and Order, I didn't know anything about it. I was busy trying to, pay for the renovation of my house and that sort of thing. And, I was trying to calm myself down. my lovely manager, Daniel Abrams, I kept trying to get him to watch this show, Happy Valley. And he said, okay, I'll watch it, but if I watch Happy Valley, you have to watch Rectify. And so we made that deal.
Yeah.
And I ended up watching Rectify and being gobsmacked by it, just gobsmacked. And, basically bowing at the feet of Aden Young and what he accomplished in that role. So then fast forward a couple of months, Law and Order happens. And I haven't yet put two and two together. My manager calls me and he said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, guess who's playing, who's number one on the call sheet?" And I said, "Who?" He said, "Aden Young." I said, "Who the hell is Aden Young?"
Right.
And he said, "Rectify." Right. And I lost my mind and kept losing my mind throughout the entire shoot, but inside, just on the inside.
Yeah.
Inside mind, and managed to show up without, just like gushing all over Aden the entire time. So that was my introduction to Aden Young, was Rectify. And then a couple of months later, there I am on a set with him. Yeah. And every time something would happen, I would text my manager and say, "Oh my God, Aden Young is standing beside me right now." Aden Young just hugged me. Aden Young just... Right. And Kathleen Munroe, she was the one that I wasn't very familiar with, but she is such a gorgeous human being. Well,
wow.
Inside and out, and a phenomenal actress.
Yeah, she has quite a resume of many fine shows, such as yourself, So it's a great combination. What was it? How did you come to this role? I mean, did Dick Wolf take you to lunch, or? I
wish that would have been a good lunch. And I love to eat. No, I think. The way I understand it, they were already thinking of me for the role, but that didn't register to me so much because, as I said, I was in the middle of a renovation and
yeah, I gotcha.
Have you ever been through it?
I'm moving right now. That's why I'm talking to you here from Sandra's sister's house on Highway 9, where we are.
I heard about that. Okay, yeah. So it's basically, I remember my good friend Kevin Hanchard, an actor you might know, told me about renovations. It's like somebody puts a spigot in between two ribs and he opens it, and the money just keeps gushing.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
So I'm dealing with all of that. Wow. And meanwhile, I kind of heard that they were considering me for the role, but I couldn't absorb it. There was so much more, there were so many other things that were going on until finally somebody from my agency called and said, "Karen, you've been approved for that role." And I went, "Come again?" That's how it happened.
Wow. That's great. Wow.
Another right place, right time, working with the right people. I can't believe it. I just keep knocking anything wooden.
It's a perfect fit. You step right into it, and as it's this inspector, you bring the right mix of cynicism and get down to it. Like, it's an interesting character, right?
I think so. And the way that I figured it, if you think about it, she would have started on the beat probably in the 90s, early 90s. Yeah. And she, I can imagine what it was like for her as a Black woman. And especially, I'm Jamaican Canadian in my head. She's also Jamaican Canadian. So Black woman immigrant in the police service in that time, and what it took for her to work her way up through the ranks. That takes tenacity. That takes wisdom. That takes incredible amounts of hard work, because it is a fact that as a Black woman, she would have had to work 3 times as hard in order to make it to where she made it. So yeah, there is probably cynicism there. She has seen a lot. And at this point in her career, she has a lot of responsibility. There's a lot on her plate, and she needs those 2 detectives and, and the rest of the team that she's amassed to get each of these cases off her plate, because it ain't the only one.
Right. On her plate. Yeah, I think you're right. This would have been a pretty stubborn white boys club in the Toronto police force for a century. And but I would hope that there would be real role models that are doing your job on the show in Toronto now. Did you have anybody to consult with?
I would hope so too. No, I didn't. Honestly speaking, I didn't. I have met police officers of color, and I've spoken to them throughout the years, because, like you say, this isn't the first law enforcement officer that I've played. Right. And was it last year or year before last? I was in New York, and I remember seeing the commissioner of police in New York. I cannot remember what her name is. What I can remember of her is that she pulled all her hair into a little ponytail at the back, a Black woman, and and pretty much outfitted like Vivienne Holness is. And I remember watching her on TV and thinking, that's probably what it's like. You could see her experience on her face.
Right. Yeah, it would be for sure. Please maintain law and order. Karen Robinson will be right back. Well, did you know that it was June Carter Cash who wrote one of Johnny Cash's biggest hits, Ring of Fire? That's just one of the things you'll learn watching June, streaming this month on Paramount+. June shines a spotlight on the history of country music and the Carter and Cash families. The 5-time Grammy Award-winning singer, actor, and author has opened for Elvis, appeared on screen with Robert Duvall and Jane Seymour, and as mentioned, was a damn fine songwriter. Featuring interviews with the woman herself, the film also includes sit-downs with her family, admirers, and friends, including Dolly Parton, Reese Witherspoon, and Willie Nelson. And remember, there's a mountain of premium entertainment for audiences of all ages on Paramount+. Well, time once again to check in with our friend Emily Gagne at Hollywood Suite. Emily, Happy New Year. What do you got for us now?
Well, Bill, we're blasting off into 2024 with genre fare. We're talking sci-fi, we're talking horror, we're talking the freakiest and the most fun movies you can think of. Everything from Beetlejuice to Blade, we've got on our channels this month.
Wow, Blade scares me. What's the freakiest sci-fi film you've got, though?
Sci-fi, I mean, we've got 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know if that's the freakiest, but it's a classic. We've got Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But I really think if you want something weird and wonderful, we have this film called 976 Evil, which is directed by Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund.
Well, that's the number, 976 Evil. You can find it on Hollywood Suite. Emily, thanks for the tip.
Thanks, Bill.
Here she is again, Karen Robinson. Was it intimidating joining Law and Order? It's such a storied television franchise. There must be a Bible or a playbook there. I mean, what was it like stepping on board such a moving train, I guess?
I try not to think about it. So much. Back in the early 90s, I saw Esapatha Murkison,
Right.
right? And
Yes. Yeah.
Jesse L. Martin and Sam Waterston and Jerry Orbach in the in the original, and it never even occurred to me, like I said, baby actor, thinking I was going to be doing theater for as long as, well, forever. Baby actor, it never occurred to me that I would be a part of this franchise at some point. Everything that happens in my career comes as a surprise to me. So I really tried to deal with to have that in the back of my head and to be so thankful that I get to carry on this legacy. But at the same time, I had the work in front of me that I had to do. So it wouldn't have served me to think too much about the import of the moment. I was being paid to do a certain job, and
But it would be like joining a Star Trek series, though. I mean, it's the same kind of thing in a way. I mean, but oh my God, Esapatha was there ever been a better name? And how awesome that I just remember her on Pee Wee's Playhouse as Reba the mail lady, right?
I never watched that. Was she on Pee Wee's?
Oh my God, go back and look at the first few seasons, and she is Reba the mail lady on Pee Wee's Playhouse. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. Wow. So this also seems like a series that would, and there's some great actors on the first episode I saw, the Daniel Cash and oh my God, Rob. I'm drawing a blank here now, but there's several Canadians that have really been prominent in television here. But this would be a series where you would see. There would be opportunities for a lot of great guest stars. Anybody you can name or single out?
Kristen Thompson.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Right. Diego Matamoros, Sophia Walker, Ron Kennel, a lot of theater actors that we know and love. Matthew McFadden. Yeah. Sometimes I didn't get the opportunity to play with them because I'm basically in the office shouting orders and, the detectives go and solve the crimes. But it is a who's who of the Toronto theater, film, and TV industry.
And often Law and Order, the stories seem ripped from the headlines. Are there episodes coming up in this first season of 10 that Canadians will nod and go, oh yeah, I read, this is something, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm not even going to tell you about them. I will just say, oh yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, there's one in particular that it happened, and we all found out about it, and we were. I think I can speak for a lot of us when I say we were angry when we found out about it, and then life goes on and other things happen. I mean, God knows, hello pandemic, and then it appeared again as one of our cases, and I could still feel the how furious I was when it all broke in the news those few years ago.
Okay, well that's intriguing.
Yeah, so I think I expect that it will probably do that for other people too. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Peter Mooney was the actor I was trying to come up with, who is in the first episode. He plays a great kind of a villain. Don't want to give it away, but
don't give away anything.
Yeah. It is really cool to see the walk and talks past the CN Tower and the Toronto sign at City Hall and everywhere else. And in future episodes, did you visit neighborhoods that you were particularly happy about? Do we see your inspector character out of the office, right, on the involved in
Not yet. not yet, but you never know. They tend to. I think that typically in first seasons, there's a lot that has to be established, right?
Right.
So I think that Tassie and her entire team of creatives are very astute about who goes where in order to introduce what.
Right.
Yeah, what aspect of Toronto? I think that even happened in Pretty Hard Cases. But as we get to know these characters more, I think that you see them then enter different spaces. So,
all right,
stay tuned.
Probably by episode 17, the inspector will be abducted or something.
Yeah. You'll see Holness leave the office, and she will not be happy about it.
Does she have any pets? I know on Pretty Hard Cases, right?
Not attached to her.
That was always funny on that show.
Kevin, God bless him.
Yeah, well, it's a great, great show. And what have you changed your ringtone to dumb or to the Law and Order theme, or have you?
Not yet. And I'm not sure that I will. I think it's all. I'm enjoying this so much. I'm enjoying how excited people are about it, and heading to the dentist, and every subway station I pass through, there is a poster, and there is my face, and you turn around and you look on the side of the bus. Or apparently, we're like how many feet high in Dundas Square. I love it to the extent that I think that it's something that we can all be proud of.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I come home, and it's just me and my plants and Coronation Street and my love and my sisters and I come home. So I don't really bring a lot of work home with me. This is my safe space.
Would you like to be a guest star on Coronation Street?
Yes, and I've already told them. Well, I tried to tell them. Anthony Cotton, who plays Shone, we follow each other on Twitter because he was a big fan of Schitt's Creek, and I said to him, I'm available, and I'm also a British citizen.
Oh, fantastic!
So I'm already halfway there.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I actually, my mom was born in Scotland, so I could get a British passport, I understand, and haven't gotten around to that, but you never know, Well, okay, now I want to ask a couple of basic television questions. What are you watching right now? When you have time, is there shows that you're really glued to or that you stream?
Loudermilk.
Oh, isn't that amazing, Loudermilk?
Man.
Because it's on Netflix now, right?
It's on Netflix now. It's 3 seasons. I'm just getting to the end of season 1. Loudermilk, I just finished The Diplomat. And I was upset when I realized that there was only 1 season.
Are they not going to make a second season of The Diplomat?
No, they're going to make it. Okay. They're making it now, but why do I have to wait? Is my hope. Why do I have to wait for anything anymore?
It takes, and because these shows, and with COVID and the strikes and everything else, it might be 2 years before you see the second season.
Exactly. Which just frustrates the hell out of me because of what we've gotten accustomed to now. It's not like when we were growing up in $6 Million Man, you got like 60 minutes every week. Now I'm just like, I want it all, and I want it now. So those are the things that I'm watching right now. And, and then Coronation Street is a freaking staple for me.
Right. My
mom was pregnant with me watching it in England. So
So you've seen it right all along.
In utero, I heard that theme. So 56 years later, I'm still watching it.
Is it as good, though?
As what?
Coronation Street as it used to be.
Compared to what it used to be?
Compared to 20 years ago, sure.
Coronation Street doesn't really lend itself to being assessed that way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha.
think that it is something that is familiar and comforting, and people have real faces, and the plates of food look terribly unappetizing.
Right.
And you know, and there are, when a couple, when they're too happy, then you know it's time for something to happen, because you got to create tension. You always got to create tension, so you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, and sometimes I get mad because I'm like, I can see it coming, and I don't want it to be that easy, but I keep watching.
Yeah. Well,
Those of us who are diehard, who are committed, we just keep watching.
a couple of ladies in this house who are right with you, who wouldn't give you an argument. That's for sure. They were watching it. They were watching it yesterday. They'll be watching it today. What, Karen? When did you have a favorite show as a child? You mentioned this one that was a great influence on you. Yeah. But was there anything else, or even maybe an early when you first arrived in Canada? Was there a program that you Canadian show that you really liked?
Oh, well, I remember SCTV and Kids in the Hall being two of the shows that, even though I wasn't aware of it then, being two of the shows that made me go, oh, this is different, and this is something that is particularly Canadian. Yeah. So it piqued my interest. They piqued my interest, and I was intrigued by them. Growing up, though, I mean, I remember. Okay, so it was Jamaica, so we didn't get all the same TV. We got some of your shows, and I remember to this day when I hear the theme for Little House on the Prairie, I just go.
It sounds like you got $6 million man.
$6 million man, Steve Austin.
Yeah.
What was the opening lines of that, Steve Austin, a man barely alive?
Yes. Oh my goodness! Now that you've put me on the spot, I can't come up with it. But there was a whole pattern to it, right?
A whole pattern.
Yeah.
Whole pattern. And then when you found out that the guy who played Steve Austin's boss, I can't remember his first name, but I think his last name was Anderson.
Right.
Was Melissa Sue Anderson from Little House on the Prairie. He was her father.
Karen, my head is exploding now. I'm just finding this out right now from you.
You know, it's like your whole world starts to make sense in a way it never did before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. I did not know that. Okay. Well, there's one. And do you have a favorite all-time TV theme song?
Good question. I do play TV theme songs like with my pals and my sisters a lot. But what's my all-time favorite one? Is it Facts of Life?
Oh,
it could be Facts of Life.
Written by Alan Thicke.
Did he write it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. But there were so many good ones. Why don't they have TV theme songs anymore? Like that was a very specific talent, and because it had to put you in a certain mindset immediately, right? The one for Laverne and Shirley, like any of those,
right.
you just go. Yeah, I loved TV theme songs.
Like I always loved the Hill Street Blues theme because it was such a counterpoint to the show. It was just sort of a gentle, it could have been about bird watching or something, but it set it up in a whole other way. It drew you in on another level. And it's
or the one for Taxi.
Taxi, right? For sure. Yeah. It's another like a lute, or like it's just a simple little haunting little melody. The same with Law and Order, Sorry.
The same with Law and Order, Tyler Moore, and you know what was okay? I will tell you this. I think my absolute favorite. It didn't have words, but I loved that family so much. Was for Rhoda. Remember Rhoda?
Rhoda, yeah. Oh, absolutely. With Valerie Harper. Yeah, that theme, it was very 70s. The instrumentation of it, right? Oh, now we have to pay somebody for the rights. Please, Karen.
We're not going to go to Comedy Central or whatever and go, Rhoda.
You get to sing whatever TV theme you would like to sing. We're get to share it. That's fantastic. Well, listen, congratulations, Law and Order Toronto Criminal Intent. It premieres February 22nd on City TV. This is quite a coup for Rogers. Hats off to them for stepping up and making this deal. It's fantastic.
And they're putting their back behind it.
They are. They're getting as you say, they're getting a lot of publicity and posters up. Is there plans to watch it with the cast? Is there? Do you know what you'll be doing on the 22nd?
We are having a huge launch week next week, so there are going to be appearances and junkets and interview after interview. There are no definitive plans now, but I wouldn't be surprised if, exhausted, we all just go, okay, who are we going to watch? Whose house are we going to watch the first episode?
Right. And you've already shot all 10 episodes so far. That's right. Okay. And were they shot last year or when were they shot?
Yeah. We wrapped on December 15th.
Wow.
Yeah, we got it all in the can.
That's fantastic. So we're going to see some snow scenes. Well, no, this hasn't been hardly any snow this year, has there?
No.
Funny.
The cold days with you.
Well, congratulations. Best of luck with your renovations and everything at home. And fingers crossed that goes well. I'm sure you're getting excited about that. But, great. I don't know. Congratulations on this. It's always fun to see you in anything. You're terrific.
Thank you.
And really glad to get this opportunity to talk to you today.
Thank you. Done.
Okay. Take care, Karen.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. My thanks to producer Phil Hong, whose story is not fictional, and he is an actual person or event. Thanks to the Rogers PR term for setting up this interview. Thanks to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and the rest of the Crispy Critters, as well as piano man Steve Dudley for the music heard on this podcast. Finally, thanks to you, listener. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.